A good example of how to effectively use equalizers is to shape the frequency range between a bass drum and a subtractor synthesizer bass line. These are two sound sources with frequency ranges that overlap, and sometimes the two can become indistinguishable in the mix. On the Mixer Channel 1 EQ section, click on the EQ button to enable the equalizer. Now set the bass EQ knob to about 8. This adds a subtle bass boost to the low frequencies for the redrum. On Mixer Channel 4, enable the EQ and set the bass EQ knob to about -48. This significantly changes the bass level from the bass. The bass EQ is a shelf EQ which affects all frequencies below 80 Hz. The treble EQ is similar except that it affects the high frequency range from 12 kHz and above. Click on the bassline limb Compo 1 compressor module, then select PEQ2 Parametric Equalizer from the Create menu. This will insert an equalizer between the compressor and the mixer input channel 5. There are 3 settings on the PEQ2, the frequency setting, the Q or width, and the gain adjustment knob. The gain knob controls the amount of equalization you will add or subtract from a frequency range. We will increase the gain to about 32. You will see the flat EQ curve bend upwards as we increase the gain setting. The frequency setting refers to the center frequency of the parametric EQ curve. We will set the center frequency of the EQ curve to 48. You will see the peak of the curve move to about 300 Hz as we change the frequency setting. The Q, or resonance, refers to the width of the range of the affected frequencies around the center frequency. Decreasing the Q will create a wider curve, which is visually represented as we change the Q to 18. The PEQ2 has 2 EQ curve settings, A and B. Clicking on the button next to the B setting will enable the second curve setting. The second EQ curve will help us isolate the bassline even more by carving out some of the bass of the bassline. It takes a bit of trial and error to get the right EQ-B curve set, which balances with the settings of EQ-A. Finally, we arrive at setting filter B gain to -48, the filter B frequency to 16, and filter B Q to 54. Filter A's frequency is 44, filter A gain at 40, and filter AQ at 24. This curve nicely carves out the bass range for the kick drum and emphasizes the low mids of the bass line. Now, the deep thump of the bass drum sits nicely at the bottom of the mix, and the bass line melody rides just above it in the low mid range. Using equalizers to sculpt the frequency ranges of the various sound modules will allow your mix to open up and let the various elements balance. You should try to work around sounds which play the most often in the track. Typically, this is the drum and percussion arrangements and the bass line arrangement. When other elements like pads and samples are added, first try adjusting the levels to balance them in the mix without equalizing. If this does not balance the mix, then apply some equalization to carve or shape the frequencies of the particular sound source.